Nashville?
Yep. Yes, we are.
How's your little granddaughter?
Amazing. Laughing and just amazing. So much fun.
Excellent. Good stuff.
How's the weather?
Yeah.
Good? Bad?
Yeah.
The same?
It's weird. It's weird weather. It's lots of rain, lots of wind, but it's fine. Everything's good.
Okay, I'd like to call the regularly scheduled Board of Selectmen meeting for Tuesday, February 22nd, 2022 to order. This meeting is being conducted in a hybrid Zoom fashion, as is allowed by legislative action. And first order of business, pledge of allegiance. Charles, would you please? I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America
to
and to the republic
which
for which
stands
it stands,
one nation, under God,
indivisible,
liberty,
with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Everybody's in. Mitch, you made it in. Okay, good. All right, we've got a couple items to add to the agenda. First of which is an executive session discussion on land acquisition. Is there a motion to add that as item number 18?
I'll move that.
And a second.
Second.
Let me try your minds. Selectwoman Renner?
Aye.
Those in the room? All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Opposed, abstaining, recusals, hearing none, motion carries. Second one is, I think I forwarded this along to everyone here on Friday. It is adding a possible appointment to a board and commission, a Mr. Warren, Michael Warren, for a position on planning and zoning. Is there a motion?
So moved.
I'll second that. With the addition, let me try your minds. Selectwoman Renner,
Aye.
those in the room, all in favor?
Aye. I think I have to abstain, right?
Yep, opposed, abstained, recusals, Charles abstains, owing to the 90-day rule. All right, wonderful. Item 2, public forum. Any comments, questions, changes for Tracy? I had none.
Not very thorough.
Excuse me, public forum. There's no one from the public out yet. At this point. No one's in the room, so we move on to minutes. Approved minutes of January 31 budget 2022 budget workshop meeting. Anything?
I'll move them.
Second.
Second, let me try your minds. Selectwoman Renner,
Aye.
those in the room?
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining, recusals, hearing none, motion carries. February 2nd, 2022 budget workshop meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Any comments or questions or changes? No, hearing none. Try your minds. Selectwoman Renner,
Aye.
those in the room?
Aye.
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 All right. February 4th, 2022, budget workshop meeting. Is there a motion?
Nice motion.
Second.
Any further comments or questions? Let me try your minds. Selectwoman Renner,
Aye.
those in a room?
Aye.
Just want, for the record, I thought the collaboration exhibited by by the 5 of us during the budget workshops was consistent with the way we've been acting for the past, this is now our 5th budget together. So I want to thank my colleagues for the spirit in which we handle those events. February 7th, 2022, regular meeting. Is there a motion?
Ooh, I will.
And a second?
Second.
Just a quick comment. I had to leave about a third of the way through the meeting. I was at the beginning, but I had read through the entire minutes and prepared to vote. Just approve minutes.
Okay, got it. All right, let me try mine. Selectwoman Renner,
Aye.
those in a row?
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining, recusals, hearing none, motion carries. Thank you. Item 4, Finance Director, Mary Jane Malavasi, 4.1, received a monthly report. Mary Jane, this is old news. We heard this last week.
Yep, so I will just recap because most of you were at the budget presentation. So I'm going to start with the revenues. I just want to make note that for the revenues and expenses, I have added a third column under the percentages to give you an idea of where we were before the pandemic, because I think it was Charles that asked that question at one of the meetings. So I'm showing that just for your information. So if we look at revenues, we'll see that we've pretty much been pretty consistent, about 90% over the 3 years, not showing any real big spike up or down overall. But where you'll see the spikes is within the different line items, almost all an effect of COVID. So some of the line items are much higher now than they were back in January 2020, and some of them are much lower now than they were in 2020, which gives us the overall balance year over year. I don't have any real specific line items to discuss that we haven't already, but I will take any questions on revenues.
I have a comment, I guess more than a question, and to your exact point that COVID, the one department, well, there's a number of departments, but Park and Rec has been hit really hard. And is there any sense of whether the spring will be turning that around? Is there any projections on that?
We do have a projection. We will not be meeting that revenue this year. I think I might have noted once before that we had the church that was meeting at the community center on a weekly basis, and they have not come back during COVID, and we have been informed that they will not come back. So you would have seen during the budget presentation that we have lowered that the revenue for Park and Rec next year to account for that.
Okay.
Any other questions on revenue? All right, expenses.
Similar story on expenses. I do show the January 2020 column there, which we were about 60% expended, a little bit higher at 62 now, mainly because of the capital expenses. As I've explained in prior meetings, we do have some large capital expenditures going out right now that will be reimbursed from other funds through either ARPA or through the technology fund when those projects are over. So the capital is really drawing that additional expense. I'll take any questions.
I think we're good.
Okay.
Anything on warrants, or anybody have any questions on warrants? How about medical?
So medical in January, we had a bigger month. So December and January were much larger. Turned out to be the same amount. That's just an oddity. It's just total oddity. We are projecting only $122,000 surplus at the end of the year, which, you know, in a $12 million budget, I think that's pretty good. Our catastrophic claims are currently at 19%. I just wanted to draw your attention to the center there under catastrophic claims. I've added some data points for you that I normally would just share with you. I thought I would put them in here now. So of the total claims over 75, which are at $1.9 million right now, that represents 14 separate claims. And the amount that is being covered over the 150 right now of $367,000, it is representative of 3 claims currently over the $150,000. I just thought that was interesting information for you to have.
It is. Thank you very much, Mary Jane. It gives us a little better feel for what's coming down the pike as well. Okay, any questions on medical? No? All right. Mary Jane, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Item 5, Board of Ed Director of Operations, Cliff Gurnham, and I don't think I see, oh, there he is. There's Cliff. Good morning, Cliff.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
You've got it. Welcome. 5.1, discuss and take possible action on change order number 1 for the Melissa Jones elevator project. The floor is yours, sir.
Great, thanks. So the elevator project actually is coming to completion. Today we have the state elevator inspector out doing a final inspection on the elevator. Hopefully we'll get our certificate to operate today. This change order actually is made up of 4 different change order proposals. The first one was overtime for welding that we had to do on overtime due to the fact that we can't weld with students in the school. So we had to pick a time. It ended up being, I believe, a Sunday to actually weld what needs to be welded. So there was additional overtime for that. That was not part of the original project. We also had an issue after they pulled out the old cylinder. They had I guess you could almost call it a cave-in, where they had part of the hole collapsed that we actually had to then suck it out and re-clear the path for the new cylinder to go in. So there was additional cost to do that. The old cylinder came out, but the new cylinder, unfortunately, we couldn't get back in without doing this work. So we had that change order of $22,001.07. The next 2 are relatively small. We had labor to install additional flooring. So the Board of Ed actually supplied all the materials. But while their contractor was there doing work on the floor as part of the project, we had them actually increase that scope just due to other damaged floor tiles that wasn't due to the project. So they had to replace those. So there's additional labor for that. And then we also had to install an additional fixture in the elevator pit to meet code. And that was something we didn't know until we actually got into the project and actually measured the light levels in the pit. So we added 1 light fixture down there for a cost of $523. So the Standing Building Committee reviewed all of these. They approved all of them. The total for the change order is $26,749.42. We're asking to award that work to J.A. Rosa Construction. This will be funded as part of the project. We have a contingency of about $172,000 on the project, so it's well within our budget.
Great, thank you, Cliff. Questions?
Yes, Cliff, you know, I can appreciate that the collapse of the cylinder was certainly unanticipated, but was this welding related to the collapse, or was this part of the construction process?
It was part of the construction project. They weld the cylinders as they, I believe, put them in. There's some welding that has to get done.
If it was part of the construction process, this is a little bit of an example. It's not a big part of this particular thing, but it seems like we would know that it couldn't have been done on while the children were in school, that it was going to be an overtime situation. And it just, you know, it's a little bit of something that I'd like to avoid is anything that, you know, is part of the project, going to be part of the project no matter what, should be included in the original estimate.
Correct. And, you know, unfortunately, we try to do our best to schedule this work during either after hours or actually during holiday time. So, you know, if we have the capability of doing it while we have Thanksgiving break, when we're open, but the kids aren't in school, or December break, unfortunately, we couldn't marry up and time it with one of those events. So that's why we ended up, you know, in this situation.
Okay, yeah, that explains a little bit to me. I was thinking about anything while the children were in school was going to automatically be overtime, but not necessarily, because sometimes they're not in school, but yet they're regular working hours. Okay, I understand. Okay.
Thank you, Cliff. Any other questions? All right, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
And a second. Let me try your minds. Selectwoman Renner?
Aye.
So those in the room? Aye. The motion carries. 5.2, consider and take possible action to award the Adams Doors and Locks project. And Cliff?
Yes, so as we continue through the district replacing the doors and locks, we are on to Adams, which is one of our last schools. We are still in discussion whether we will add additional locking hardware to the high school. So there may be one more school to be done. It'd be done differently than what we've done at the rest of these. That would just be probably hardware, where the rest of the district, we had to replace the doors in order to maintain the fire rating on that each opening. So this here is specific to Adams. We're going through and replacing the classroom doors and locks to upgrade the security level. There's approximately 69 doors along with the hardware associated with each one of those. The doors and locks will be supplied by BMP Construction through the Gordian slash Easy IQ construction bid. We've had the Standing Building Committee review this and they recommended moving forward with it. The work itself, as far as the installation, will all be done by the Board of Ed staff over the summer, and we'll get all these doors installed using our staff. So the project itself is funded through our 2014/15 bond for security with a balance of about $245,000. So this fits within that budget.
Great, Cliff. Just one question. I suspect you're ordering them now to get ahead of the supply chain issues.
Correct. It takes a long time to get these in, yes.
Okay. Good. Any other questions?
Yeah, Cliff, thanks for all the detail, and thanks for the explanation. Can you, I've been through this a little bit, and it's probably right here somewhere, but how many doors altogether are we talking about?
Approximately 69 doors.
Okay. So essentially $2,600 or so per door. That includes the locks?
Correct.
Okay, and,
It's not the installation.
but not the installation. This is just.
Correct.
Okay,
It includes the doors and the prepping of the doors so that they come with the hardware installed and the glass and everything. And then we take that package and we actually do the installation.
and that includes the locks, presumably electronic locks and everything?
They're not electronic, they're deadbolt locks. Yep.
Oh, these are all interior. It's not
Correct.
part of like the building security issues.
No, it's an interior security upgrade. What this allows them to do, the teachers and the staff, they're able to lock the door with a quick flip of a deadbolt. So we can get immediate lockdown versus somebody having to stumble with a key to lock a door.
Okay, good. One, that's
Question?
fine. Thank you. Thanks.
Yeah.
Sue's got something too. Thanks.
So,
Cliff, does this bring all of the buildings up to standard in terms of the inside doors and security?
It does, like I mentioned before, excluding the high school, but that one works a little bit differently.
Right.
However, we may want to take that to this level as well. It's in discussion with the principal, the superintendent, and Board of Ed.
Thank you.
I just want to draw everyone's attention to the documentation. If you take a look at the last page on this particular item, the Capital Region Council of Governments, and you've seen this Easy IQ mentioned a couple of times. That's part of their consortium, the CRIS consortium on purchasing. What's interesting is if you take a look at it, it identifies, this is their standard form that they use, identifies direct material cost, and then the allowable overhead. So there's only a 15% margin in terms of overhead for the supplier.
Yeah. Honestly, this is a lot of work for, that's a good price for all that material.
Yeah.
Honestly, yes. So thanks for locking in on that.
Perfect. Okay, anything further? Is there a motion?
I guess.
So moved.
There we go, in a second here. Try your minds, Selectwoman Renner.
Aye.
Those in the room? Aye. Opposed, abstained, recusals, hearing none, motion carried. Okay, item 6, Rick Maynard at Parks and Rec Department. 6.1, discuss and take possible action on the replacement of netting on the Long Hill Park backstop. Rick, good morning.
Good morning. Today's a historic day. It's 2-2-2-2-2. We're never going to see that again.
Oh.
Oh,
Bunch of twos today.
Other twos, play the number.
Yeah, good morning. So in Long Hill Park, there was a lot of damage to the backstop has a netting that goes up about 10 15 feet up above the backstop. The reason for that is we need the netting because a lot of the balls the foul balls, keep going over the net into the wetlands and they can't retrieve them. So they lose a lot of balls there. That's why we have the netting, but even with the netting, it's still a problem. They still lose some balls, but the netting is shattered, I guess, over the years, or just wind and rain and, whatever. It's in a shambles. And also there's one of the posts that holds that netting up is damaged from a tree hitting it a couple of years ago. So I got some quotes. I got only one quote from Fence World for $8,650. That was to do the netting. They're going to fix the post for no cost for us. I did try to get a quote from Atlas Fence. They chose not to quote on this. Fence World is the company we use almost all the time because the prices are always the best. They're based in Madison, a small company, and most of the projects we do, they end up getting because their price is always good. So I reached out to Atlas. They didn't want to be involved in this project, and so we just have the one quote. So I'm requesting that you approve that for Fence World for $8,650 to replace that netting. Right now, the only team that's really using that field is the high school freshman baseball team. I think that other senior level teams might use it, but regardless, the netting's in very bad shape. I really want to get that fixed before the freshman team starts their season out there in the spring.
Any questions or comments?
Procedurally, one quote is okay.
Yeah, under the 25,000, yes.
Well, we tried to get a second one, but they didn't quote.
Right.
Okay. Rick, was this identified as part of the capital projects or not?
I think it was long-term of replacing the whole backstop or adding on to it, but for now, we need to at least replace the netting. I think we had to extend it farther along the first baseline and go up a little higher.
I recall something along those lines.
Yeah, I think that was in the 5-year plan, but this netting can't wait. It's in bad shape, Matt.
Yeah, because I think we had, the original request was for 27,000 to rebuild the netting at Long Hill Park and the baseball backstop. So this is just a netting piece to get us through the season. And I'm assuming we'll be able to use that netting regardless of what we do with extending it along the first baseline.
I think we should be able to, yeah, as long as it stays in good shape.
Okay. Thank you. Is there a motion to approve?
Matt?
Yes, Mary Jane.
I'm showing rebuilding the netting at Long Hill Park baseball backstop in our 2023 capital line
Exactly.
next year.
That's what I mean. We're just talking about the capital projects this year.
All right. Are we doing this work now?
Well, and I wouldn't suggest taking on the capital. We have a blanket purchase order with Fence World for 4,000, so it's about half of it there. I think the balance of it in our program account, we have money that's been collected for people who have rented the fields that goes into account for any kind of field improvement. So the balance of it can come out of that program account. So we're not looking to tap capital for this.
So what does that do to the capital request for 2023?
Well, I think we keep it in because there's other parts that we're going to add on to that. It maybe end up being less than that, but as I mentioned earlier, we're going to, the idea is to extend the backstop further up the first baseline. That's where a lot of balls tend to go into those wetlands over there. I keep telling the coaches, they got to teach their kids to hit forward, not backwards, and they're going to lose so many balls.
I just want the selectmen to note that it's not a capital expenditure at this point.
Right.
Right.
But we had planned on a capital expenditure, which is the point I was trying to make as ineloquently as I did. So if in the next couple of weeks, with our friends at the Board of Finance, if they make any adjustments to our budget, at least we know we've got a little bit of money on this, because we will not need that in the capital budget for 2023.
Right.
Kind of where I was going with it. All right, anything further?
Is there any special process necessary to use the money from program funding, or if it's just, that's once we approve it, It's a back office question.
It's a back office question in terms of how it gets funded.
Okay.
Yeah, the Recreation Commission will approve that expense from the program fund.
Okay.
All right, is there a motion?
So moved.
And a second?
Second,
Let me try your minds. Selectwoman Renner,
aye.
those in the room?
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining, recusals, hearing none, motion carries. Okay, Rick, 6.2, consider and take possible action on the roof replacement at Bittner Park building.
Well, thank you, but thank you for that vote. The net effect is we'll have a better backstop there.
You never cease to
Where's the hook?
think.
Okay, so Bittner, if you remember, we talked of some ARPA funds. I think it was total $40,000 for several improvements to the bathhouse here, included the roof, new partitions in the bathrooms, repainting the floors, the walls, new touchless toilets and touchless sinks. I'm not ready for those parts of it yet, but the roof we are ready to move forward with. And I think I submitted to you, Matt, we have 3 quotes from 3
Yep.
different companies. The lowest quote is E&H for $9,655. I just want to clarify, what's on my roof looks lower at $93.73. That was only shingles. It did not include any of the fascia, which Steve Neidorf and I talked about. We think that fascia needs to be replaced also. They did not include that. They weren't going to do that. So it was shingles only. E&H was $8,455, so they're lower. But the total with replacing fascia in the rake and painting the fascia is $9,655. And the other bid was New England Building at $13,300. So we request you approve E&H at that 9,655. But keep in mind, we don't know about plywood. We did get a cost for replacing sheeting. If that happens, there'll be $90 per sheet, including labor for that. But we don't know that. I don't know if in your wisdom, if we should make the purchase order a little higher to cover that, if that happens. But they all know that we all know that they don't know what's going to be underneath those shingles. And if there's some sheathing, we may have to spend a little bit more.
I think we're okay with going the way it is. If we need to adjust it at a future point, that's fine. It's gonna get done, so.
Okay.
It's gotta get done regardless of whether you need to sheet the plywood or not, so. Is there a motion to approve awarding the contract to E&H for $9,655?
I'll make the motion.
A second. Just one comment, E&H is a Guilford company, so it's always nice to see business going to our local contractors. And we're doing it without the local vendor preference ordinance, which at some point I want to revisit, but not today. So let me try your minds. Selectwoman Renner.
Aye.
Those in a row.
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining, recusals, hearing none, motion carries. Thank you, Rick.
Thank you very much. Have a great day.
You too. Okay, item 7, Economic Development Director Sherry Cody with her monthly report from the Economic Development Director. Sherry, good morning.
Good morning. Can you hear me okay?
I got you fine here.
Great. Good morning, everyone. So we'll start with our signage project, our welcome signs, as you hear me talk about every single month. The subcommittee has installed the last 2 welcome signs off of the exit ramps. So that would be exits 57 and 58 southbound. We have run into some supply chain issues with our sign maker, and so they're not 100% ready to, I guess, they're not done. I think that there's a little bit of painting and a banner that still needs to be completed on those 2 to call them absolutely finished. But they are installed, and the subcommittee is now working on a plan for some wayfinding signs internally in the town. So more to come on that. They have not issued their recommendations yet. Beautification grants to businesses. This is something that you approved back in September. To grant up to $1,000 grants to businesses for beautification or facade improvements, property enhancements, could include some things like handicap access. We launched our program on the 4th of this month and are giving our businesses lots of opportunity to apply. So we won't be accepting any applications until March 15th. And then our subcommittee will review those and make recommendations to our EDC for approval. Chamber awards. So the Shoreline Chamber of Commerce is doing their, holding their annual meeting tomorrow. And they have asked, I guess, members for recommendations on awards. And so I am pleased to announce that out of the 9 awards that will be given tomorrow morning, 5 of them are going to Guilford businesses. DNS Hot Dog and Catering are going to be awarded the new business of the year. Guilford Savings Bank is going to be the employer of the year. Bishops for business excellence in reinvention during COVID. Detect, of course, for innovation award, and then our hometown hero for the Shoreline Chamber annual awards is Peter Palumbo. So I thought that that was really good. You know, the Shoreline Chamber does work with 3 different towns, and for us to have so many awardees was pleasing, and I thought worth mentioning. This month, we also applied for, you're probably familiar with CEDAS, that's the Connecticut Economic Development Association that we are members of. Every year, they invite municipalities to apply for their best practices in economic development and land use certification program. We did apply for that this year, actually a couple weeks ago, and so we will find out whether we will be designated as a best practice municipality next month. So I'll keep you posted on that. In terms of development, you've heard me talk about Hubbard Road. That's the 830G affordable housing project. They've been through design review. Their first public hearing with planning and zoning is on the 16th of March. So I'll keep you posted on that. State Street, I don't think I've talked with you about this one yet. This is 25 units, each with 2-car garages. They have met with design review and held their first public hearing earlier this month, and their second one is scheduled for the 2nd of March. These are some single family, some duplex. This is on State Street near I-95 between Fitch Street and North River. So next near Pinchbeck's Tree Farm. You probably know where that is because it's right here close to downtown. And then finally, I will mention the Dunkin' Donuts drive-through. I don't think we've talked about this either, but it's been in the works for quite a while. At 1486 Boston Post Road, their first public hearing took place on the 16th, and their second one is scheduled for the 2nd of March. So they've been through design review a few times with lots of changes, and now they're before planning and zoning for their approval. I'll stop there. I feel like I spoke very quickly to see if you have any questions.
Thank you, Sherry. Any questions, Sherry?
I'm wondering, Sherry, who's the developer of the 25 units on State Street?
I can't tell you that off the top of my head, and it's not in my notes in front of me.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you.
But I can email you. I would like to name a name, but it could be associated with a different project, something that comes to the
Sure.
bottom. I don't want to do that to you, so I'll email you.
Thank you.
Barry, this is Sandy. On some of the public hearings, how, I mean, I know we don't have a lot of time to go through the whole thing, but is the sentiment positive for these various projects, negative or mixed, or was there a lot of public input?
So on Hubbard Road, they haven't had theirs yet. State Street, there were a couple of people that talked about concerns for traffic. And that was it so far. They'll have their second one coming up soon. And then Dunkin' Donuts, there was really no, to my memory, no public that spoke at the public hearing for Dunkin' Donuts. If they did, it's not enough for me to have stuck in my brain for comments, but they do have their second one coming up as well.
Thank you.
All right, just a comment, the Dunkin' Donuts one includes drive-through, which has in previous years has always brought folks out for some of the hearings. So kind of surprised that it did not rise to that level. But I suspect there may still be some resistance to it at the second public hearing. All right, anything further? Sherry, thank you very much for that update. Appreciate it. Okay. Item 8, register of voters. Gloria, good morning.
Good morning, you all.
So this is, item 1 is to take, discuss and take possible action on redistricting proposal.
Yes, so we presented the information 2 weeks ago and the board requested us to check with Chief Hyatt and Dr. Freeman. And they both, Dr. Freeman was fine. Chief Hyatt said the traffic around there would be good. They will monitor it for the next elections and see what happens. If not, even put a guard there, but he believes that it will be fine around that area at Calvin Lee.
Excellent.
So
Excellent.
we'd like your approval.
Okay, so, let's talk about timing here. What are we approving? What are we approving? Are we approving the redistricting, the entire redistricting, or just south, the changes precipitated by the state?
The state that is going through, because that's mandated by the state to us, then that's that part south of Route 80
Right.
that will now be going to Baldwin. So that's 700 voters less at Melissa Jones.
Got it.
And we're requesting from you approval to rearrange some voters out of the fire headquarters
Yep.
to Calvin Lee.
We went through the,
Yep,
thank you.
and the
We have the
numbers.
documentation of who's moving and,
Yes.
what it's gonna look like. And now, we did ask you to get the local traffic authorities input on congestion, et cetera. Sounds as if they don't foresee a problem.
Correct.
So again, the question is, are we talking about doing this for the budget referendum? Or are we talking about doing this for the November elect or the
Well,
potential
it's going to
primary?
be a primary, so I would like it after and I don't think there's a mandate as far as either one of those. I did send an email to you and Peter.
Yep.
If we did it now, it would be a lot of work to change everything in that short a time. So, yeah, right after the budget, we will then get started on changing that.
Okay. Charles?
Are the schools officially closed on election day now?
Yes.
November. Yeah, I think they.
Well, sometimes I think they hold a professional day.
Correct.
Yes.
So the
But they're
kids don't
closed to
go,
this kid,
but I think they're open.
But
They-
the plan is for the schools to be closed.
Yeah.
Has there been any thought to changing the firehouse? I have a concern about 30% increase at least, that was my concern last month, and it continues to be. Was there ever any consideration to opening lakes again? I know that during the construction, it was changed, but has there ever been any consideration to just eliminate the firehouse issue, go back to having fairly equalized districts in opening lakes?
We did
Now
not,
that we-
we did not think of, we did not consider Guilford Lake School.
One of the discussion points that we did have was the possibility of eventually using the high school because of the size, just the sheer size of it. But at this point, we're going to continue with the districts that we have. That's the current recommendation.
Yeah, I mean, the high school, location wise, for these people doesn't necessarily make sense, but I always thought lakes made more sense. That's a big consideration, it's not going to be.
If you would like us to, we'd certainly just move everyone from the firehouse to Guilford Lake School. If you want, we could look into that.
I think that's something we should probably take a look at.
I mean, I remember before when schools weren't shut down, it was always very problematic being in the schools, but now that we're all on the same page,
Right.
shutting the schools down, it just seems like it would eliminate the whole struggle that the fire department has.
Right.
So
We would like to see if the voters travel to Guilford Lake School would not impose more of a problem. I'm thinking of
I'm just looking at the map.
80 and Long Hill Road. what's an easy way to get to Guilford Lakes and the timing, so we could look into that.
I'm looking at the map, just visually, I don't know population counts necessarily and everything. But visually, it seems more centralized than the fire department, certainly more centralized than Lee. If you look at the map, it's like public works, pushing everybody downtown.
Well, yes, but going to Calvin Lee, it is an easy ride for those a little bit north people
Mhm.
from the turnpike from 95. So if you look at Route 80 and Long Hill Road going to Lee, I mean, it is,
You mean going to lakes?
yeah, I'm sorry, Guilford Lakes. It might be
But the
doable.
map I'm looking at is the brown is, I don't know what district are we calling it?
one.
That's Lee.
Yeah,
Brown is Lee.
That's what I mean, it is nowhere near Route 80.
But you're talking.
No, I'm talking the
The
people.
blue, right? Voting District 3, the blue is what was supposed to the firehouse, right?
Where 77 and 80 meet. Those people south of Route 80, say Greenbrier Road, and I don't have the colored map, but I'm looking, this is up here going to Guilford Lake School. So they'd have to come down through Stepstone and up around that area, which is doable. I mean, we could look into that.
I just hate to see us doing so many changes with the voting system. I mean, it would be confusing enough for people.
I was gonna go along that. What's the process by which everybody learns?
Yeah, I
Well,
mean,
we
they
said-
can do it now and then, especially when you're not even gonna get it started until after April anyway, so. Yeah, I don't know. It seems, I'm just looking at it visually. It's just, now that the schools are going to be closed, you got a building that's kind of made for it. It keeps them all in school, so everybody has that comfort level that they're dropping the kids off in the general population anyway. There's a certain logic to it that I think deserves some exploration.
So what we need to do first is to contact Guilford Lake School and the superintendent and see if they could accommodate us and have storage for us with our voting equipment
Mhm.
at Guilford Lake School.
Just as all the other schools.
Yeah,
Yes,
Charles, that's really good suggestion. Now, the blue on the map here, that's when it currently goes to fire.
I think so. That's my district.
Yeah,
I'm pretty
District
sure.
3, District 3 goes to fire, right?
Yeah.
So actually,
For District 2, isn't it?
it's closer for most of those.
Blue is just.
Well,
Lakes,
especially
lakes,
if you look at population, that whole.
No, I'm in purple.
Oh, you're in purple.
okay, so I think the question there then, Charles, is could lakes accommodate?
It would take care of this issue of having 30% increase in lead. I mean, you bring it up without.
Yeah. Is there, Gloria, is there a definitive timeline on this that we need to act, or is it?
well,
Well, the mandated
This-
districts are done. We're
Yes.
not gonna change that, so that's done. That's the timeline. The rest is convenience.
we could do this state mandated one. And that's only for delegate selection for the canvas, which is, for the convention, which is in May.
Yeah.
But we could see about changing that to make all of this at one time, which is, that would give us time in May
Okay,
to do it.
so we don't have to take action today.
Correct.
Okay. all right. So I think what, and this is a really, Charles, thank you for bringing this up. The use of lakes may not necessitate the movement of significant number of people from one district to the other, or just moving the place that they vote, which could be a heck of a lot easier from an education standpoint for you folks as well.
Yes,
Don't you guys have to go and list every street that's changed? and
Correct.
All that
Yep.
kind of thing?
correct.
So by moving a polling place, would you need to do that same level of?
It would just be all the people at Guilford Lakes I mean, Guilford Fire
Fire Department.
Headquarters.
Yeah, it might be a lot easier, so.
So that, and then we would have signs at the fire headquarters saying you are now voting at Guilford Lakes if they missed the post.
Well, your own was
And
just
the
saying,
public
you know, if you were
information.
there, you're going there, rather than half there, half there.
Exactly. All right,
Okay,
thank
we
you,
will
Gloria.
get back to you in 2 weeks.
Wonderful, thank
So,
you.
Thank you.
Gloria, just to take a step further on my question / comment about how people find out. So I take it this is not going to affect the April referendum. Those are the existing voting
Budget,
districts.
Correct.
The budget, excuse me. So, I mean, literally, if this advances by that time, I mean, literally, would there be some flyers, a sign, some information in those? Because those are the people most likely to get that information. People are actually already voting, you know, it would be really helpful so that every person can get reminded 2 or 3 times that they're moving.
Yes, so the website, public information and individual postcards to
Okay.
each voter that
Okay.
you are now voting
Awesome.
at a different place.
And potentially it won't be half and half, but just say firehouse goes to the lake.
Right, yeah, that would be the easiest way.
Yeah, it'll be individualized. You're now, next election, you're voting in this location, whatever.
Yes.
You're gonna communicate with people
Yes,
directly. by
and that's,
postcard.
and, you know, hopefully we'll look at Guilford Lake School to
Good.
make sure that's feasible and check all the people who are in charge.
Okay, fabulous, thanks.
Okay,
Thank you, Gloria.
thank you very much.
Okay, item 9, consider and take possible action on municipal homelessness resolution. We have been asked by Sustainable Guilford CT as part of their efforts to recertify, to pass this resolution, which, you know, is very well intentioned. It does not require much of us other than what the Sustainable Guilford Task Force is already doing and will do. So if anyone has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. No? All right, is there a motion?
I'll
So,
move
A
second,
A second, let me try your minds. Selectwoman Renner,
Aye.
those in the room?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same, recusals, hearing none, motion carries. Thank you for that. Okay. Item 10, discuss and take possible action on noise variance application for Care Fest taking place at the Guilford Fairgrounds on June 11th, 2022. I'd like to make the motion to approve that.
I'd like to second.
This is the event in honor of, in memory of Paul Dostie, a fundraising event. A wonderful, wonderful human being, did so much good work in this community, so. Let me try your minds. Selectwoman Renner,
Aye.
those in a room?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstaining, recusals, hearing none, motion carries. Item 11. Appointments and resignations. 11.1, act on a recommendation to reappoint John Sibiak to the Land Acquisition Commission as the Shellfish Commission representative for a term to expire February 28th, 2025. Is there a motion?
I'll move.
And a
second,
second?
second.
Please note it's coming from the Shellfish Commissioner.
Oh, wait a minute, I can't do anything.
Yes.
I'll make the motion
And I'll second
and
it.
note that the recommendation is coming from the Shellfish Commission Chairman,
Right.
Bob Berger.
Let me try your minds. Selectwoman Renner,
Aye.
those in a room?
Aye.
Aye.
Abstain.
Abstain. Charles abstains. 11.2, act on the appointment of Tyler Sowers as the Guilford High School member to the Sustainable Guilford Task Force. I'd like to make that recommendation. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
We've been fortunate to have a high school student participate in this task force in the past. It's been vacant for several months, and this young man is a junior at the high school. Has shown a great deal of enthusiasm for getting engaged in this process. So let me try your minds. Selectwoman Renner.
Aye.
I
Those-
gotta ask a question.
Sure.
Are we 16?
Yes, this is a
So
task
any
force.
of that issue about voters and all that, that doesn't come
No,
into play?
doesn't come into play because this is not a board or a commission. This is a task force.
Okay.
All right, let me try your minds. Selectwoman Renner is an aye. Those in the room?
Aye.
Abstain.
And one
And that-
abstention, you got it. 11.3, which is the one we added earlier, and that is Michael Warren. to planning and zoning. Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second? Hearing no second, Selectwoman Renner, not apologize, but sorry, we can't get a second on that. And so that motion fails. And at this point, I think it's probably appropriate to have a quick conversation about why Charles has been recusing himself.
Yeah.
And that is, at our last meeting, the registrar of voters, it was Gloria, who identified a little-known state statute that prohibits elected members who have switched party affiliation they have a 90-day moratorium on acting to appoint. So when Charles made his conversion, he was unable to do so. And one of the other things I think needs to be discussed in terms of the failure of this motion is that typically when recommendations come from the respective political parties, those representatives on the Board of Selectmen from those parties typically have a familiarity and also have vetted the individuals. That is apparently not the case here. So I just wanted to explain for perhaps a reason why this motion failed. And then that's further exacerbated by the fact that Charles is unable to participate in appointments for the 90-day window. And what are you, about a third of the way
Yeah, I
through
was
that
gonna say,
window?
please your 90 days up.
So,
Just a question, the motion failed today, but that doesn't prevent that person to be nominated again by their party in the procedural manner that you just described. Is that
Correct.
correct?
correct.
Can I,
So
Yeah, and I will reach out to the RTC. I don't know who's responsible for nominating. There's really no information on the website, but I'll try to find out and, remind them that it would be just helpful for the process for them to communicate with me or with any of us when something like this comes up. So we can meet our objective of keeping our boards full of good citizens.
Right.
thank you, sir.
can I
Okay.
can I say something, please?
Certainly, Gloria.
So Charles, he is elected, so he does not have a 3-month wait to do any action.
Gloria, based on recommendation from town council, he reads the statute as Charles is prohibited from appointing anyone, participating in the appointments, not just the individuals who make the switch cannot be appointed to a board. It is anyone who has made the switch, who is in a position to appoint, is also prohibited from doing so for 90 days. And Pete, I think you're on. Pete, your iPhone there. I don't know if you're able to.
Yeah, I've got it. Yeah, the statute is beyond just who can serve. The statute also talks about participating in a vote as to the appointment of members to a board. So it's not only can you be appointed during that 3-month window, but can you participate in the appointment of another during that window? And the statute pretty clear on that. This is statute 9-59 under the Connecticut General Statutes.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for that clarification, Pete.
Gloria, I'll be glad to talk to you later if you like.
Thank you.
Okay, anything further on that?
Not specifically on that, but the other applicants that came forward at our last meeting that we tabled, are we waiting out the 90 days on them as well?
The two that were tabled, yes, at this point, we're waiting them out.
Okay,
Pete, although Pete is continuing to have dialogue with representatives from the Secretary of State's office, but it's consistent with what Gloria and Lisa had identified. in some of their interactions with the Secretary of State's office, Pete is sensing that this is applicable in this case for the 90 days.
Thank you.
Pete, I don't know if you want to comment.
I did, that's how I did read the response to the registrars. Had done a question up to Ted Bromley, Secretary of State's office, and I think his response was consistent with what I've just said. I will say this, I did send another request to him to be a little more specific on this, citing some of the statutes that are applicable, just to really button it up and confirm for sure. I haven't gotten a response to that yet, but I feel pretty confident in the position we've taken and appreciate Charlie's temporarily recusing himself in these matters.
And Pete, just to take Sue's question one step further, yes, we did we tabled a couple of them, but we endorsed them. And it declared our intention to put them into those positions when the window expired or we received some legal determination, whichever came first. But Pete, would you comment for a moment on the votes Charles did take since that 90-day window would have taken place, and what that means for those votes that he did cast?
Well, he sits as a selectman, obviously, on all matters. This is the only area in which any of the votes he could have recused himself from. As I understand it, I'll be glad to look at the minutes again, but it seems to me that my recollection is that any votes that you actually took were, I think, unanimous, so that his vote wouldn't have changed the result. And then going forward, correct me if I'm wrong, I think you folks had talked about, favorably about these candidates, but had not formally voted on them. You may do that, but if you do it within the 3 months, Charlie should abstain.
Anything further? Comments?
So does that mean we could vote on these candidates sooner than 3 months?
No,
No.
unless if we get legal determination from the state
Okay.
Secretary of State's office.
Okay.
Now, this is a question for the lawyers, but could we appoint them contingent upon
Yeah,
satisfying the 90 days? And I don't think so.
no, so I'm sorry, the 90 days started the day that we were sworn in after.
The day that
In December?
the individual changed their party affiliation.
Oh, okay.
I can completely understand the purpose of the statute. I mean, they don't want people flip-flopping between parties to affect some sort of outcome. So, I mean, I kind of get the brake pedal there.
Yeah.
But there's obviously consequences to, procedural processes. And this is just one of them, sort of, we're holding up the works bit.
Right. Pete postulated a sort of interesting position, which was, in effect, they become unaffiliated voters because they can't participate in the process as either an I or as a R or a D. So they technically become unaffiliated voters, which raised an interesting conversation, which is, what if you switched from Democrat to unaffiliated, and then went from unaffiliated to Republican or to independent or any combination of those two? Have you effectively circumvented the statute? And I'll leave that to smarter minds and perhaps more myself.
And that's why I recuse myself. I mean, I don't want to get involved in this political gamesmanship. I don't want any appearance of any discussion or the politics of it all. This is what I don't want to happen here in Guilford. And that's why I'm just going to recuse myself, wait out my time, and let the process be as clean as it possibly can be.
I agree. Thanks. Okay.
Something, can I say something? About,
Certainly.
Matt, when you had said a person switching from one party to then unaffiliate and back. The system does catch that person, and in their letter of acceptance, it will say when they are able to join the new party that they switched. So it does take that into consideration, that that voter has switched to unaffiliated to try to circumvent that.
Right, thank you for that comment, but there are some legal theories that suggest that the statute isn't quite that explicit, that talks about unaffiliated. It talks about major parties, but
Well, I'm just answering your statement before about some voters trying to do that.
that's exactly my point. The statute does not address unaffiliated voters. So, but again, this is this is legal thinking that is probably not going to be applicable at all at this point. Be interesting if somebody challenged it, tried that route. But nonetheless, we'll deal with that if and when it occurs.
This is what we're trying to avoid.
Right.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay, item 12, request for use of town property. Act on a request from Randall Klusendorf and Tracy Blanusa to use the green July 1, 2022 for a wedding ceremony. This is a little problematic because it is not consistent with the primary qualification, which is nonprofit use of the green. Secondly, and there was a potential request for a tent and some chairs, et cetera, which would require our approval. However, if someone were to do, and I've actually performed wedding ceremonies as a justice of the peace on the green with 4 or 5 or 6 people there. Folks are allowed to gather on the green up to a maximum of 40 people without getting permission to use the green for an event. So if this individual, these 2 individuals want to do a ceremony on the green, they're certainly welcome to do that as long as it complies with the regulations, which is, well, yeah, well, we allow alcohol on the green for some events, but clearly, if they keep it under 40 people and there are no, no tent put up, we allow people to take chairs out to the green. They sit on them regularly. So I think we'll get to these individuals and let them know what the concerns and what the prohibitions are.
Are they gonna run it by the Green Committee?
We can run it by the Green Committee, but the Green Committee is going to come back. This is first off, it's the first qualification is not.
Yeah, I'm not asking them to, I would love to hear their opinion on it, because you are talking rental equipment and everything here. It isn't as if it's 4 people.
yeah.
I just, I appreciate that it's not their decision, but I would love to hear their opinion.
We'll be happy to get it.
But I would sort of also point out it's a July 1 event. I mean, I guess if the Green Committee's gonna weigh in, we could wait another
Yeah.
meeting. But it feels unlikely at this point. I'm just kind of signaling.
That's fine. Is there a motion table?
Sure, we'll table so the Green Committee could weigh in.
And
I'll make that motion.
Either that or approve it with the condition, or just,
I prefer
no,
not
that
to.
would,
I prefer not to approve it.
yeah, I mean,
No.
unless it's problematic, I would say.
Did I read the application correctly in that no one involved is a Guilford resident? Or did I misunderstand? that?
Yeah, that's the other.
Yeah. I mean, I'm wondering if there's an application that comes to the Selectmen's office that doesn't meet the requirements for green use. I don't even know why it comes to our board.
Well, I think it's just, it's been courtesy for us to review it, because the board has, as a whole, has to approve it.
Mhm.
So I think it's as much to bring it to your attention, understand that folks are actually asking this. And again, it might be a check and balance on my office making that determination.
Makes sense. Thank you.
I mean, 30 people in rental equipment, this is an event.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
I think we gotta have the Green Committee weigh in, just, even if they just come up with ideas that we haven't thought of, or questions that we haven't thought of.
makes sense. All right, we have a motion in a second. Let me try your minds. Selectwoman Renner?
I'm sorry, we're voting to table this?
Yes.
Is that what we're voting on?
Yes.
So they get information from the Green Committee.
All right. I'm not in favor of tabling it or taking it any further. So how do I vote? No, I guess.
Abstain, or recuse?
Same? Okay.
Abstain?
No,
Okay.
That would be opposed. That would be
Opposed, I'm opposed.
That's fine. That's fine.
Yeah, well, I don't understand why we would even consider people who don't live in Guilford setting up equipment on the green on one of our few precious summer days to have a wedding. No.
Brightline has certain advantages.
Sounds like an amendment.
Yeah. Well, let me suggest this. If we just want to send it to the Green Committee, are we comfortable denying it? And then they can reapply after we hear from the Green Committee?
I would consider an amendment or a reversal of my earlier motion. Denying this, anybody can reapply, and this time they would go to the Green Committee first, although it does say a copy was sent to them. And I'd be interested to hear if there's any reason why they think there's some reason why they should go forward, but it really,
Yeah, why they deserve an exception.
I'm closer to Sue's view that it
Well,
doesn't
the
feel
only,
like.
the only way they could go, they could have 30 people, they just can't have rental equipment, right? That's the problem, isn't it? We wouldn't, if 30 people came with their own folding chairs and they did a ceremony,
Right.
I mean,
Well, this is what we don't know. I mean,
Because we
it's-
had that-
I don't want to micromanage.
there's probably been 30 people sitting around in groups during COVID,
Oh,
you
that
know?
happened. That happened.
So, we don't know if they were all from Guilford. I mean, I
This-
kind of
this
agree
sounds-
with you, Sue, but I think we have to be careful on what's already happened on the green.
Well, would we rent a park out for a wedding? And we've done that, but the green's different.
Yeah,
Oh, boy.
okay. All right, so as to the motion on the thing, which is to table.
Yeah.
All right, so Sue has voted no. And let me try your minds here.
I guess I'll stand by my written, it's obviously a close call, but I'll stand by my motion to table.
And
Okay.
yeah, I feel comfortable taking it.
Charles?
Yes, we may be using them for spreading the blame.
All right, so I'm gonna leave you standing out on your own.
Fine. We can't always be unanimous.
That's right. Well, this is only the third one in 5 years, or
That's
4.5 years, whatever.
Who knew about the wedding?
Wonderful. All right, so we will send it along to the Green Committee, table, and then we'll also alert the couple to the fact that it is under further scrutiny. However, we'll also let them know that based on the guidelines, it does not currently qualify.
Right, because they should know sooner rather than later.
Exactly.
This might not be the place.
The more certainty, the better.
Right.
Okay, item 13, committee reports. Sandy, anything?
No. I'm sorry to say no.
What about meetings with David Fink?
Yes, I'm gonna actually meet this week, hopefully with Jamie Stein. We had a phone call and we're gonna try to get some of those things going, and also I think it'd be good if you were in that meeting.
Oh, I'll be happy to
Yeah,
participate.
yes,
Absolutely.
yes.
Okay. Correspondence, any other correspondence, public works report, the building report? Hearing none, old business. New business?
Oh, I'm sorry. Under old business, I apologize. Didn't talk fast enough. I was wondering about the status of what's happening with the recreational marijuana moratorium as far as the public information process and where we are with that.
Sue, thank you for that question. Tomorrow evening, there is a forum that is taking place. It's being sponsored by a day organization, Development Assets for Youth, who I think, as you recall, had originally asked us to consider a permanent ban on marijuana sales in the community. However, and so I've had a series of conversations and meetings with the day folks, in addition to Superintendent of Schools, Paul Freeman. the forum that they're putting together is not an advocacy forum, one way or the other for marijuana sales. It is an informational session primarily for alerting parents to engaging the community relative to the dangers of youth using cannabis. And I think we all sat through a presentation from them. So this is the first of what I anticipate to be some community forums. I wanted to let them have this forum first before we actually did something very similar to it. We have, as you recall, the survey. We have a series of questions. We're going back and forth with Zen City in terms of how we actually ask the questions, what questions we ask, in what order. So that will probably take place sometime after this meeting tomorrow, and probably before our forum. I haven't decided, I'm looking at a forum sometime in the latter part of March to do something for our purposes of engaging the community relative to the sale or prohibition thereof.
So it's in process.
It's in process.
Good, thank you.
I mean, I really think the public forums would be very helpful.
Exactly. Yeah, okay. Anything under any other old business? New business? Nope. Okay, public forum. Anyone wishing to address the board in public forum? Hearing none. Item 18 is executive session for purposes of land acquisition discussions. Is there a motion to go into into executive session?
So moved.
And a second? Let me try your minds. Selectwoman Renner?
Aye.
Those in the room?
Aye.
Aye. And I'm going to invite Gary McElney and Sarah Williams in for the executive session. See you all later.
30-second break.
Okay, is there a motion to come out of executive session?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All right, in executive session, there were no motions made, no actions taken. But as a result of the discussions, we have, I think, 3 action items. The first of which is an approval of an appraisal on one of the discussed properties. Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Let me try your minds. Selectwoman Renner,
Aye.
in the room?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining, recusals, hearing none, motion carried. Item number 2, and I'll make the motion that we will support the Guilford Land Trust's application for an agricultural grant. And the town would partner with the land trust in the acquisition of the identified parcel, including appropriation or appropriations necessary to secure the rights to the property. Is there a second?
Second.
Charles?
That wording doesn't mean that we're committing to it. We're committing to the starting the process of acquiring.
We are committed to partnering with them. Okay, let me try your minds. Selectwoman Renner,
Aye.
those in the room?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained, recusals, hearing none, motion carries. Item 4, and that is to approve the acquisition of the identified property.
3, actually, now, I said 4.
What's that?
Item 3.
Oh, 3, yeah, 3, sorry, item 3. I had 4 down there because I was Sullivan.
Oh, okay.
Approve the acquisition of the identified property for the appraised value with an option to purchase an adjacent property.
I'll make that motion.
Second,
Second.
Second.
any further discussion or comments? Hearing none, let me try your minds. Selectwoman Renner,
Aye.
those in the room?
Aye.
Motion carries. With that, no further business to be conducted. Yes, Gary?
You tentatively want to set a
Uh,
meeting for,
We'll do that. I'll do that with Tracy. We don't have to approve setting.
okay.
We'll just put it on the agenda. All right, with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Non-debatable motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks
you.
all. Good meeting.